Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a scored review for one of my all-time favorite games, Final Fantasy. This is the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster version of the game. Now, if you... excuse me. Now, if you haven't played this game, this is a traditional, old-school, turn-based JRPG. And this game was... Well, I looked at the game card on Xbox, and it says published by Square Enix, but it doesn't have a developer, so I'm assuming it was also developed by a subsidiary of Square Enix. So, published and developed by Square Enix, which makes sense. Now, in this game, you are taking on the role of 4 youths that randomly arrive in the world to save it, which I'll get to in the story section of the review. Now, this game, excuse me, not this game. If you are watching this on YouTube, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, especially if you're enjoying the reviews and or the walkthroughs that help you along the way that I do. And also, I go a little bit on the crazier side with my buddy when we do the tag team live streams or the co-op live streams. So, without further ado, let's get on to the actual review. Now, if you are watching this for the first time, this is where I review a game based on 5 categories, which is story, graphics, music, sound effects, gameplay mechanics, and the achievements. Again, as with all the games that I review, this is the, well, not all of them, but all the ones I have reviewed thus far, this is the Xbox version, so I'll be covering the achievements, not trophies, not Steam achievements, not Switch achievements, just the Xbox achievements. Now, for the story, this is based on the, this version of the game is based on the traditional 8-bit NES version, but it's been updated. The NES one had like 2 points in which they give you story exposition, which was, well, there was a few points when you talk to like key characters, but the main 2 points was right when you complete the quest at the beginning of the game in this temple I'm actually staying from now and bring the princess back. When you cross the bridge that's repaired, you get a bit of story there, and then there's most of the story drop is after you beat the game and you're getting the ending credits. Now, for as far as that goes, I mean, it's not really much story in this version of the game. There's a lot more points that they've added story, albeit it's not a lot, but it does flesh out the tone of the game a little bit more. So overall, the story, while it's improved, hasn't improved much. Now, for the graphics, if you played the NES version, to me, I think they did a good job with the upgrade from the NES version. It's still very pixel looking, but there's more bright colors, vibrant colors. And they did a good job of replicating the original look of the characters in this game. Some of the characters, like enemies and stuff, got a little bit of an overhaul, but generally speaking, they didn't change the look a whole lot, just mostly colors. They've added backgrounds to the combat. Now the spells have a nice look, because in the original one, it was like literally the Black Mage. Anytime you did an attack, it looked like the Black Mage throwing a Kamehameha blast from Dragon Ball in front of him. Just changes like the color and or the animation slightly. So yeah, the upgrades and looks of the spells, like, well, I'll show you with this one. The White Mage, this spell right here, on the original Nintendo version, this was called Fade, which I'm glad they changed that name. Yeah, I thought that was really stupid, but when you used it in the original one, it kind of looked like the lightning spell, and now you get this awesome looking spell, which looks great in comparison to how it did back then. Now for the music and sound effects, I honestly think this is probably the biggest draw of the game to me. I've always loved the original Final Fantasy's music, and whoever redid this score did a great job with the music. I'm really impressed, and like the evolution of how they made it sound like that, which, I mean, you can even go into the options here, I believe. Yeah, here it is. You can even go back to the original NES version of the music, which I went with the arranged, because when I did this game, I wanted to experience this version of the game the way that the developers intended. So I didn't mess with any of the stuff in the settings. So this played more like, when I played through it, played more like the original Final Fantasy game. Now, one quality of life that they subtracted from this game that they added with the original was the MP system, but I'll cover that with the gameplay mechanics. Now, the sound effects I thought were, I mean, they're pretty good. They didn't really upgrade them a whole lot. I mean, it sounds like they upgraded the sound effects from Final Fantasy 1's version to like how Final Fantasy 4 sounded when it first came out, which, I mean, isn't bad, but it's definitely an upgrade, and it sounds and looks better. But overall, the music and sound effects are phenomenal in this game. Now, for the gameplay mechanics, this game was a very simple turn-based RPG. It's your basically, you walk around as you see here, and you engage in fights, you solve simple puzzles, you level up from gaining XP. Now, the equipment is generally bought in stores until you get to like the last third of the game, which most of the equipment is found in like the dungeons and stuff. And the spells, all spells are learned from stores, which I thought was, even back when I was young and I played this game on the original NES, I thought that was kind of weird, but I guess hardware limitations, but yeah, who knows. A lot of the mechanics were simplified. In the original one, you had like 4 options you could do in each combat scenario, which they've added a little bit to it. In this one, or in the original, you had attack, magic, item, and flee. In this one, they actually added defend, which, to be honest, I didn't use it all that much. But each character has their own ability list that they have. Like you got your warrior, who's your equipment expert, your monk, which is your unequipped expert, and then you had like the thief, which was like the character who was weaker than a warrior but generally got hits faster and had like, to me, I always thought the thief was the one that got away flawlessly every time. I think that was a perk with the thief. The red mage is your jack of all trades. Your white mage is your master of white magic, and your black mage is the master of black magic. And then when all the classes got upgraded, each one got some other special perk that came with it. When you went from warrior to knight, your warrior gains access to the highest end equipment in the game, along with some low tier white magic. Your thief unlocked almost every piece of equipment in the game to be available to him, plus the unique Sasuke's blade weapon, which only the ninja can use, and the first 4 levels of black magic, he can learn most of that. The biggest change is the monk to the master. The monk, his attack power, especially if you're going unarmed, which is the best way to do it. The monk is his strength divided by 2, and that's his attack power, and he's the only class that utilizes that. And then for every 8 points of stamina, I think it is. Yeah, stamina. For every points of that, he gains 1 in the defense of his head, 1 in the defense for his hand, and then for every 4, he gains 1 point for his body slot. So I mean, overall, you can make your master or a monk really powerful just by not equipping them and hoping that his strength and his stamina goes up. The biggest jump is when he goes from monk to master, where it changes the attack from half of the strength to his attack power to 1/2 his strength to attack plus his stamina. Because if you look, his attack, and he's got no equipment, is 67. 50 of that is the stamina, and the other like 17 is from the strength. And at this level and his accuracy, he hits 16 times in combat unarmed, and his body armor defense goes from 4 for every point to 2 every point. So I mean, he overall gets quite a big jump. The red mage basically gains better equipment, or better overall equipment options, and some slightly higher spells. The white mage gets access to all the remaining white magic spells, and the black wizard gains access to all the rest of the remaining black magic spells. So every character has their purpose, and there's plenty of different options and availabilities. Now this game, if you look here at the MP, when you went from Final Fantasy 1 to Final Fantasy, I think it was Anthology or Advance. It was Final Fantasy 1 Advance. They changed the magic system from the magic points per level to MP, which I thought was good, but at the same time it took a lot of the challenge out, because then you could just spam the same spells over and over and over. In this version, they went back to the MP per level system, which, I mean, I don't mind either way. I could have played it either way. So to me, it gave this game more of a challenge, because you couldn't just rely on magic to get you through all the tough spots. This game also has a art gallery and a music player, which are nice features added to the game. So overall, like, the mechanics of this game are done brilliantly. Everything's like super smooth. The controls, I mean, it's a turn-based RPG. Believe it or not, it's actually really responsive. So I have no complaints about that. And as for the achievements, this game is actually pretty lenient with the achievements, minus like 1. And you got the achievements for beating like all of the primary bosses and milestones of the game. And then there's one for number of enemies killed, one for collecting so much gold, which those two didn't make sense to me, but whatever. And then one for, which to me I thought was the hardest, was the bestiary, which there is 128 enemies in the BC area. I'm not going to go down because it'll show some spoilers. So overall, the achievements aren't bad, and none of the achievements are actually missable in this game, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, Pixel Remaster 2 and on is a different story, but I'll cover that when I get to those games. But, you know, all in all, the achievements are like pretty standard. So, with all that, you know, the story's okay, the music sound effects are amazing, the graphics are a nice update, especially if you like the pixel look. The gameplay and controls and mechanics are still great, even if it's albeit simple, and the achievements are fair. So overall, I do think this is a slight upgrade. So normally I would rate the original Final Fantasy VII as a 7, but I didn't say this at the beginning. I rate a game 5 out of 10 as the industry standard instead of 7 out of 10. And this game, I actually will give it an 8. It's a very solid remaster of the original game. And if that's the feel you're looking for, they did a great job with the rebalancing and the updates to the characters and all that, so it's not quite as broken and one-sided and whatnot. So 8 out of 10. I'll see you guys in the next one, and please be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Have a good one.